program. We are very happy to be here once again. And I know everyone has been asking me, oh, did you go on holiday? Did you take a break from How Is Your Mental Health podcast? After 13 weeks of the show, it was awesome. So many questions, so many feedbacks, so many lives have been imparted, and quite a lot of people have called to say that they are very, very much impressed with the work that we are doing. This evening, I've got two guests plus myself in the house, going to do justice to today's topic. And there are two topics that we're going to be treating today. And one of those topics is men and mental health. Also, we would be talking about teenagers and young adults and their mental health. Today, I have two people in the studio with me who are going to be doing justice to this topic. I have here my very darling friend of almost 20 years that we went to university together, and we've been through thick and thin together. And her name is Simone Adedipe. She is a trained pediatric nurse, trained here in the United Kingdom at Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. And she started a career there, just like I did. And then she moved to St. George's NHS Trust before she then moved to Peterborough. And all the while, it's been good, taking care of clients, providing high standard of care for patients and their families. Holistic, grounded care to support clinical needs and also to support health and well-being. You are very welcome to today's segment of How Is Your Mental Health? She would be doing justice to our topic, which is young adults and teenagers, how their mental health is impacted. Also in the studio tonight, I have with me, I call him Prof, and he's a prof in the making, as he was a senior lecturer at University College Hospital before moving here to the United Kingdom. Welcome with me, Mr. Oluwaniyi-Asaaju, a Nigerian who is based in the United Kingdom, and he has over 10 years of clinical experience in nursing. Mr. Ayotunde is a seasoned mental health nurse and works as Princess Alexandra Hospital in the same field of mental health. And I know this is his area. I know he's going to provide robust and extensive information and teach us a lot about mental health as it affects men. I am still your host as usual, Toyin Oluwaniyi-Asaaju, the owner of KOA Foundation, which is almost 10 years now. We operate here in the United Kingdom, in Nigeria, and also in the US. We span and do our charity work all over Africa, in Europe here, and in the Americas. And I want to thank every single person that has supported this program, in one way or the other. And I've also supported our dream of making sure that children, most especially who are the future of our tomorrow, they thrive well, they do well, and we set them on the right path so that holistically their mental health, their physical health, their emotional and psychological health will be rounded and they can become good adults in the society, good young adults, good adults of age, achieving and having good health and well-being. So as we progress, I am just going to give my speakers the opportunity to start to dissect, unpack the topics which are here before us today. And I will be passing the baton over to Simone Adedipe, who's going to be telling us about how young people are affected mental health wise, also how young adults are affected. So the question that I'll be asking you first is in relation to how does trauma contribute to mental health of teenagers and young people? If we say young people are affected in their mental health, does trauma, does experiences, childhood experiences, maybe in school, bullying, all kinds of peer pressure, maybe dysfunctional home lifestyle, does it contribute to mental health for children in their middle age, like teenagers and young adults? Over to you.
Okay. First of all, I would like to
We
say...
can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Can you not hear me?
We can't hear you.
Okay.
We can't
Can
hear
you hear
you.
me now?
It's still very faint.
Okay.
It's still very faint.
Well, I'm not quite sure.
But you can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you loud and clear.
You can hear me loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Maybe you need to tweak your volume. But while you're tweaking your volume, I will go over to our second guest speaker. Prof, I hope you can hear me well.
Yeah, I can. Can you also hear me?
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Well, I don't know if it's my own volume, but there seems to be a problem. I can hear myself loud and clear. But
and you can't hear me?
All right, over to you.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you.
Okay. Can we log off and try again?
Can we have some help in the studio? I think we seem to be having some technical issues because I can't hear my guests, and for some reason they can't hear me as well. African Portal, are you there to help us out?
Can you hear? I can hear you loud and clear.
African Portal, are you there to help us out? We seem to be experiencing some technical issues tonight. We're experiencing some technical issues, African Portal.
We are hearing you clearly. We can hear you. We can see your guests. I'm not too sure.
Can you hear me?
I can hear.
African Portal, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm following up. Your guests are already in the house. Can you hear me as
I
well?
can't hear you for some reason. I can't
But
hear.
I can hear you clearly.
I can't
I'm
hear
hearing you.
anybody.
Okay, can you go out and come in again? We can hear you.
I can't hear anybody. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. We are hearing you clearly.
All right.
The volume
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
the volume is very bad.
Okay, we can hear you. Bishop, Prof, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you loud and
Sorry?
clear.
You
I
hearing
can
me?
hear you. Yes.
Yeah, my
Okay.
mic is on.
No,
My
we
mic is
can.
on.
Yeah, but your guests can hear me. There's nothing wrong in the studio. Everything is fine in the studio. Hello, Mark, can you hear me? All right, she out. We can hear you.
Okay, I
Bishop,
can
we
hear
can.
you now. Can you
Yes,
hear
Can you hear
me?
me
everything.
now?
We can
All
hear
right,
you.
fine.
Everything is
I
fine
can
in the
hear you
studio.
now.
We don't have a problem here. There's no problem
Okay.
here. We can hear you all along.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So I think
Can
I
you
can
hear
hear
me?
you now. It was set at default, so I've gone to tweak it inside. All right. So Miss Simone, are you there? Can we hear
Yes,
you?
I am, and I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Okay, you need to speak louder so that we can
Also,
hear you well.
first of all, I know that you downplayed the award that you and Professor won over the weekend. I would like to say congratulations to you both. You're both awesome. And I love the work that you do, and you do with passion. And it's not easy to win that kind of award. But I would like to say congratulations to you both. You know, I love both of you. Anyway, let's quickly move on to the reason why we're here today, which is to talk about mental health. And mainly, we are concentrating on teenager and we're concentrating on mental health. And as I said to somebody, I said, mental health, we all have mental health. I don't know what people call mental health. Mental health is we all need to check our health and we all just need to make sure that we're okay. But where there's a problem is mental health disorder. When things are not actually going the way it needs to go. And that's when there's a problem. And that's often where people don't explore and people don't talk about much, especially with men. And I've got loads of friends that are male, and I've got friends that they do go through different spectrum of mental health, and they're not able to vocalize their mental health
So are you saying
because
with young adults and teenagers, they find it difficult to
very
discuss?
difficult.
Or are you talking about men generally?
I'm talking about, that's why I said spectrum. It starts from a very young age. And just like what you mentioned earlier on, that childhood trauma, there's a lot of things that's happened whilst growing up, and especially with men, they're not able to vocalize because this is how men do stuff. You deal with stuff. You don't talk about stuff. And a lot of young children, young guys, they've grown up thinking, I don't talk about what's going on in my life. And they've grown into manhood, becoming parents themselves, like rearing children. And there's a lot of trauma that they haven't been able to vocalize. And they've grown into that adulthood that they haven't been able to discuss that and say, you know what, this trauma. And that's what I've noticed. Speaking to a lot of men, because you know I do speak, I do try to counsel men as much as I can, but there's a lot of childhood trauma that's led into adulthood.
Like what type of childhood traumas? Can you give us examples?
A lot of most childhood trauma that we talk about is men don't cry, for example. There's a lot of things that will cause a man to feel like I want to cry. But
what about as girls, young women? What are the kind of childhood traumas that you think can affect them, that can lead to mental breakdown, mental illness, mental problems?
And we're allowed to cry. And it's okay. It's normal for a girl to cry. Everybody knows it's okay for a girl to cry. But when you see a man crying, you want to tell that man, I beg, sober up, why are you crying? And a lot of guys have had to deal with a lot of trauma that they do feel like crying, but they can't cry because it's not normal. And I've spoken to a lot of men that felt like, as a child, I felt like breaking down. I feel like crying, but I can't cry because then they say, I'm a girl when I'm crying.
All right, over to you, Mr. Oluwaniyi-Asaaju. You are doing the justice mainly to the section of men.
Yeah.
Because you are a man and you know how mental health affects men. You know the different things that can lead to mental breakdown for men, and how the society sees men, and what areas are men usually affected when it comes to mental illnesses, mental health and well-being. I mean, you've worked on several wards, you've worked clinically, you've worked in community, you've come across people who have opened up to you. The floor is yours. So educate us on men and their mental health.
All right, thank you so much, Sir Toyin Koforola. Thank you for having me on this page. It's an honor and it's a great privilege. And shall I say congratulations to both of us who are there at London Heathrow for the award ceremony. So thank you so much. And to African Portal, thank you as well for hosting us. Talking about this topic is a broad topic, but I will just try as much as possible to streamline it. When we look at sustainable development goals, mental health is one of the factors that areas where what organization is looking at. And if you define mental health in simple terms, it's just a way of recognizing your ability and then working with your strengths, as well as an ability to contribute to the society and to yourself as well. Now, when we come to men and mental health, it's traditionally believed that men should be stronger than women, men should mask their symptoms, men should not speak out, men should just try as much as possible to get solution to whatever is happening to them and making them to be vulnerable. It is not that men are not suffering from mental illness. As a matter of fact, mental illness is national and global pandemic. In 2015, according to American Anxiety American Organization, they released a journal in 2015 that 800,000 people commit suicide in a year, and that 70% of it is made up of men. And similarly, here in England and in Wales, in 2021, studies revealed that 5,338 people commit suicide, and two-thirds of that figure were men that commit suicide. You understand? So that still shows that men are suffering, and it's just because we have conditioned ourselves from the start that men should not talk. When we also go into biology, we believe that embryologically, we believe that men are more developed than women. So we have actually believed that they shouldn't speak up. They should mask their symptoms and then they should find a way around about it. So in a nutshell, men suffer from mental illness. Men struggles. When you count how many days that are being celebrated in a year, you will see International Girls' Day, Women's Day, Mother's Day. It is very rare for you to see Men Day. It's very rare. I can count it. It's very rare. Believing that men, they don't have problem. And I think it's important for us to change the narrative, to also focus on, I think I only know of two: International Boys Day, International Father's Day. Aside that one, you can everything, Women Day, Guest Day, Women Day, Guest Day, which I think that we need to change that narrative to focus also more on men so that we can have a balance. So that's what I could say about men and mental health.
Yeah, you're very right. And oh gosh, you're very right. And the statistics are there to prove it. And I
Yeah,
remember not too long ago, I also went into research, and it's very alarming, the rate of suicide in men, and
yeah,
especially in Nigeria, which is our country. And what actually made me to do that topic the other day was, I think, a bank executive, very high up bank executive, jumped from the 16th floor of his building in Lagos and killed himself. And this was a man that, woke up in the morning, called his daughter, chatted with her, told her, I'll see you after work and things like that. So I'm like, what could have pushed this person this far? There's a certain expectation for men. Men are meant
yeah,
to be seen and not heard. Men are not meant to show emotions. Men are just supposed to get on with it. And it's true. If someone like you, I'm sure, someone, a friend or someone has come to you and say, you know what, I'm not feeling right with it. And another person might tell him, ọkùnrin ni ẹ́ náà, put yourself
mhm,
together. And this is where the problem begins to start. When men
mhm.
are not allowed to speak and they are supposed to remain strong every time. So, what do you advise? What do you think? How do you think this can be resolved?
Yes,
Prof, just before you speak, can I just interrupt that? Because there was something very interesting to
yeah,
me about when the Queen died, and not the Queen, the Princess Diana, when she died, and the children had to walk with their mother's corpse, and they were not allowed to cry. And I was thinking to myself that how possible is it that they will walk next to their mom's corpse and they're not allowed to cry? But it's not because they didn't feel the need to cry, but because the society told them they were not allowed to cry. And I think a lot of the times, men are not allowed to show emotion because the society tells them don't show emotion. But it doesn't stop how a man actually feels. It doesn't stop how you feel. You have feeling and you're hurt, but you're not allowed to show it because you're a man. And I'm glad that our host asked that question. How does a man deal with that situation where you're feeling the pain, but you're not allowed to show the pain?
Yeah, it's so sad, and that is why we are having this kind of community or wide or global sensitization about what is happening and how to go about it. And one of the obvious signs to see is what we call escapist. Escapist in the sense that somebody behaving in a way of spending time outside than spending time inside. You see, some people are into destructive behaviors, and the commonest one is alcoholism. Some will resort into drinking and into stupor. Some will become violent. And if there is if it's for those people that are driving, you will see them having a kind of competitive driving and reckless driving. They don't no longer think about the consequences of what they are doing again. So it is not good for a man not to show reaction or emotion. Just like I've given you the statistics of number of suicide that has occurred. In fact, in US, suicide occur every 40 seconds, and it's common among the young age people between 29 to 39 years of age. That just shows that it is alarming. They are masking something like that. So the way out about it, which is quite difficult, even in literature, is for the man to speak out. But it is very difficult for a man to speak out like that. But another way, let me just give you an example of where it comes to our own personal intervention now. I just told you that I went to London now for a conference. So when I came back, I spoke with a friend. I went to conference in London. They gave me an award like that because my trust, they will put it on our intranet. So I don't want her to see it and be like, this guy is close to me and he didn't tell me. So I now messaged her, this is what happened, blah, blah, like that. She said I should update her on what happened about the conference. I did told her. Then she now sent me the voice notes. So when I heard that voice note, I messaged her, what's happening to your voice? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you fine? She didn't want to talk. So something is happening. I know you 2021. This is not the way you talk. She now says she's sick, is this and that. She started explaining to me. So what I just want to say is that everyone, we should try to check on individuals. Like now, I'm talking to Mrs. Toyin now. Let me say since July. I know her voice. So in another way, that if she call me and her voice is not like the way it is, I wonder something is happening.
Yeah.
You understand? So I just want us
something
to
is wrong.
engage with, yes, because in psychology we believe that you can detect people's personalities, circumstances through their voice, through their tones. You understand? If I'm not happy, you will even see it in me. We call it psychomotor retardation of mood. You understand? So I just want us to take responsibility on checking on others. Are you fine? Are you all right? The person might not want to talk, but you just analyze the voice, the tone. Don't just call and say, how are you? Look at the tone of the person. Look at how the person is talking. You understand?
I'm glad that
And
you
another,
said that. That's absolutely important. Particularly, I'm sorry that I have to intervene in that. That is very important because the reason why that is important is because sometimes, the people, as you said, you know their voice. And when you call them and their tone is a bit different, you know something is wrong. But what sometimes people don't do is act upon that tone.
Yes. You're right.
And
you're right.
before you actually act, it's a bit too late. People know, they hear it. I've had a friend that actually the child jumped off the bridge and committed suicide. And she was so lost that how did her child can jump off the bridge and she didn't see it coming. I said, because you didn't hear the tone.
Mm.
There's something in the tone. Just like how you said, you will hear her. You know how she talks. If she's bubbly, she knows me as well. If I'm bubbly and everything, if I speak in a certain way, she will say, "Mm-mm, this doesn't sound like you. There's something wrong." And it's that tone, and it's very necessary.
Yeah.
And that's how we deal with mental health. When you know
Yeah.
that this person is not sounding the way that they usually do, you know something is wrong.
Yeah. You're right.
Wow.
So,
That's very deep, extremely deep,
Thank
emotional,
you.
very sad. As you have
Mm.
said, we need to learn to read the voice, read the
Yeah.
tone in the voice, especially
Yeah.
for people that you are familiar with. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as Simone has said, that example that you shared, I can actually unpack quite a few things there. How much do we know our children? How much do we know young adults around us? Teenagers. As parents, we need to learn to know our children. We need to learn to read them. We need to learn the tone. Because for that mom who said she didn't see it coming, definitely there have been signs. There have been things that she missed. And that's why, we as parents, we should not be too busy for our children. Call them, chat with them, not necessarily make them your friends. Your children will always be your children. You are the adults, they're the children. But be close to them, befriend them, know what they're doing, know their low moments, know their happy moments, know the times when they are excelling, when they're not excelling, encourage them positively. When they're excelling, praise them positively. When things are low and maybe their results or they are trying to complete a task is not coming together, the way you talk to them, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Even though you've not achieved this, you're still a shining star. You could do
mhm,
better next
it's
time.
important. Yeah.
But in our own African cultural way, it's either our way or no way.
No way.
I've seen parents, especially some fathers, who are so set in their way. It's either you do medicine or you don't do anything. And this child wants to be a YouTube influencer. That's all the child wants to do. Just be a social media influencer. Probably the child will be earning maybe 100% more the salary of a doctor. But that status thing for the dad is like, you want to be a social what? Social what? But the dad is saying, you are going to be a
Auntie, I
doctor.
don't want to
I
time.
didn't bring you this far and this, and then the child starts to break down.
I do not want to sound, sorry, very Christian, but there's something that I must say. The Bible tells us, seek ye the kingdom first, and everything else will be added on. You see, the thing that I understood about that, and I might be British, you call me British, when you go to leave, this one's very rude. But the Bible tells us, when you seek the kingdom of God, is his kingdom, he owns it. How? Okay, when there's a kingdom and there's a man that owns the kingdom, our Yoruba will say, èèyàn tó lẹ́rù ló lẹ́rù.
Mm.
When the kingdom belongs to you, you own everything. that's inside our kingdom. And that's what the Bible is trying to tell us, that seek that kingdom first. Seek the ownership of that kingdom. And then you own everything that is that kingdom. It's simple as that. And that's the thing I try to teach young people. And I try to tell them that don't try and own anything. Find yourself first. Know your identity. Once you know that you own this, you own everything.
So in terms of, sorry to cut you, this is for Mr. Oluwapelumi. So how do you think we can help men? How do you think the society can support men to speak more?
Right, thank you for that question. But before I go into that, I want to talk about suicide generally. There are 3 types of suicide. There is what we call the parasuicide, the attempted suicide, and suicide itself. The parasuicide, that one is very common in women. They will just be like, I want to eat poison. They know that their husband is coming. They will not go and take the poison so that they don't want to die. So there is also attempted suicide that failed. That they wanted to commit it, but it failed. But suicide itself is when a person actually actualizes it, and that is what is common among men. Then moving on to suicidal signs, we have 2 types of it. We have the verbal cues and then the behavioral cues. Before somebody commits suicide, he has committed suicide months ago. Use of people, I don't think you will see me again. I don't think that when I'm going to this occasion, I will come back. That something is happening to that person. I'm going somewhere. When you are with your friend and your friend is saying negative things, like let me speak Yoruba. I need to sue me, Gary. I feel like what is sue me. If you are not careful, that person might commit suicide the following day. So we shouldn't take any word of our close friend or whoever with just a petty answer like that. We should take it so serious. And then let me just speak natural English. We should be kind. Everyone is passing through problems. Everybody is passing through problems. So, like, look at Mrs. Toyin now, gorgeously dressed. My sister, gorgeously dressed. She might not have that problem herself, but somebody close to her might have it. And she might be thinking, how can I help this person? You understand? And you now met that person, you now talk to that person in a rude way, you have destabilized the equilibrium. So we should be kind, we should be nice to people as much as possible, though it's not easy in this 21st century we are, that you will be nice and the people that you are chasing rats to, they are chasing snake to you. But we should try as much as possible to be nice. You try as much as possible to be kind. Every kindness is not about money, it's all about words. Even in the Bible, there are two gifts: the gift of speaking, then the gift of ministering. There are people that they can speak, they can talk. When they talk to you like this, you will think that, in fact, my mountain has crashed. There are people that they can also minister, that when they minister like this, as if that God is speaking to them. So that's another way to curtail it. But most importantly, how we can encourage men to speak is, one of it is like what we are doing now. They can have your contact to talk to you. Then it cannot be through referral process. You can refer them to anyone that you know that they are into mental health and stuff. And out of the discipline we have in the field of medicine, be it psychiatry, oncology, whatever like that, psychiatry is one of the professions that maintain confidentiality. We don't breach confidentiality of patients. And that is what affects men so much. They might think that they may share my information with somebody like that. So, but they shouldn't be worried. When they speak to Mrs. Toyin, they should not expect that Mrs. Toyin will carry their program, their issue to YouTube. They should try to speak out. And naturally, they say that you don't know something until you say it.
You're very right. And I would just like to add to that. The thing about someone like Mrs. Toyin, is she will share information, not to share information to shame the person, but to share information to encourage the person and say,
So
you're not the only one going through this.
yes,
Other
it's a
people are
great
going
vision.
through it. And what I often say to people is, people don't often talk if they don't feel like you don't understand me, but you don't know that I'm going through this. But until they hear somebody else and say, no, I understand you, I went through this, and then they feel comfortable. And you're very right. And the least people to speak, which I've found very, very difficult and is very relevant, is men.
Yeah, you're
Because
right.
men has been brought up to man up. You don't talk. And no matter what they do, they need to learn to man up. And then they grow in an environment where they're not allowed to explore their feelings, to cry, to talk about everything because they've been brought up to man up. And that's what is causing a lot of, I wouldn't call it mental health because everybody's got mental health. We all have mental health. But mental
Yes.
health disorder, when there's something not quite right, and that's what it is. Because a lot of men are not allowed to speak about their emotion. They will cry and everybody's asking, why are you crying? What's wrong with you? Because men
So
are not
men
allowed.
generally, in a nutshell, men are meant to be seen and not heard. And also, men are not to show expression. They are not meant to talk.
Exactly.
And is this based on the fact that they should not be judged, Mr. Oluwapelumi? Is it men don't talk because they feel they are being judged, or they should be strong, or they should try to just carry their burden and get on with it?
Yes, I told you in the introduction, traditionally, we have been conditioned to man up, to mask the symptoms, to carry the burden alone. But the only issue that concerns me is the consequences, the psychological and social consequences. We only pick suicide as one of the consequences. There are so many other things that is happening because of men are not speaking now. You see some that are even beating their wife. You see some that they are not even be able to be productive in the society. And you see some, when you go into Africa now, especially Nigeria, you see larger number of our youths into what they call Yahoo Plus. You see larger number of people into substance abuse, because I was in the new world before I left. 90% of our patients, they were adolescents. And when you ask them, my mom, they did not give me attention. My dad did not give me this and that. So you find out that when they want to talk, but they feel like you are a man, go and sort it out by yourself. So my own advice is that as many people that are hearing us on these social media handles, they should speak up. They should, if they cannot talk to their mother or to their father, they should look for a closest person to talk to. And everything is not medication. You can't just be giving you antidepressant, because antidepressant also has its own side effects. We can't just place you on psychotropics medication, maybe taking allopuridol or chlorpromazine. At the end of the day, you will be having oculomotor gyrates, your body will be shaking, you will not be able to be useful to yourself again. So there are things that will be done through simple counseling. We call something psychotherapy, one-on-one psychotherapy, group psychotherapy. They can refer you to clinical psychologists that will tell you what to do. Your problem is not new. And if you even go historically into the Bible, there is nothing new under this planet. You say you are suffering. You say you are suffering for something. Somebody has passed through that before. And there's what we call transference and counter transference. Transference is that when I'm using myself as an example, you said your wife is beating you. I mean, too, my wife was beating me before, but this is the way I overcame me. And my wife, my in-laws are disturbing because my wife has not yet taken because of infertility like that. This is the way to do it. You understand? So let's start from sensitization and then moving on to clinical psychologists before you now say you want to go on medication. I advise people to speak up. Somebody like me, what really helps me in my life is that I speak out to people that my spirit move with. Even if I don't know you and my spirit move with you, this is what I'm passing through. And by the time I say it out, I am relieved. Honestly, I am relieved. I am happy. You understand? So men should not mask it because it's alarming. And this is 2024. And according to what we'll be hearing now, by 2030, there will be massive development in technology. We don't know how many people that will continue taking their life. We don't know, because as at that time, if you are unable to meet up with the standard, maybe that time iPhone is the one that is running now. Maybe that time now there is another phone and you're unable to get it now, then you will just go and kill yourself. So people need to know that to talk, to speak out
And
is
that's very right. What you just said. That's it. That's very right. I think one of our major problems sometimes is comparison.
yeah.
Like we compare ourselves as to what stage we need to be at. As I always say to people, you're not starting from the same point. You don't have the same resources. You're not going to the same destination. Why do you compare yourself to other people when one, you don't have the same starting point, you don't have the same resources? Some people that grew up in Baba, Oloba's house. You're growing up in village. Why in the world would you compare yourself to that kind of person? And I'm so it's such a good, eye-opening to hear you speak tonight. But I know that my sister calls you pro.
Well, you're very right. We have done a bit of justice to men and their mental health. And we have spoken to say that, men are meant to be seen and not heard. Men are perceived to be the stronger sex in the society, and with the kind of expectation that the society expects of them. They should just get on with it, and there's no time for them to dwell on anything that has to do with emotions. So they bottle it up to the time whereby they can no longer cope. And when it gets to that point where they can no longer cope, I think the next thing is to contemplate suicide, to contemplate hurting themselves because they can't open up to anyone. It's really good that we're having this conversation because it's a conversation that is hot around the world. And not too long ago, we celebrated World Mental Health Day. And a lot of things came out of it. A lot of themes came out of this. And these were part of the sub-themes that we also looked at and we talked about. So as we're rounding up, I want us to talk a bit more about young people and, teenagers, their mental health, because it's also very topical nowadays. Just 2 or 3 days ago, I don't know whether you watched the CNN news. I came back from work and I met a very trending news about an Australian girl that committed suicide after she's been spending time on social media. and she was actually bullied several times by schoolmates, by friends, who continuously bullied her. And she ended up taking her life. Just as Simona said, that would we say that mom was not paying enough attention? Could she have missed something? Could she maybe have not taken cues? Or could she have missed the tone? Could she have missed the emotions? Because it's quite rampant now that teenagers, young
Yeah.
adults are committing suicide.
Mm.
And it's something that we really, really, really need to unpack so that we can support them. And the ones that are not committing suicide, there's so many young adults and teenagers in mental health institutions. And something must have pushed them there. Is it drug abuse? Is it recreational drugs? Is it peer pressure? Is it anger management that they have not dealt with? Is it pressure from home? As in, maybe the family unit has broken down, how would you call it? Dysfunctional lifestyle, grooming.
Yeah.
So many different things affect young people's mental health. Do you want to say something about that, Simone, before we
Yeah,
go to
just
Prof,
before
and
he
then we would
answers,
round
because
up as we
he's the
have
one
just
that is
9 minutes
on pressure right
left.
now because he's the mental health nurse. So we definitely want to hear from you because you're exposed to it, Professor, and you see it all the time. And I'm keen to hear about this. And what we used to like when I work with children and I work with young people, and we're used to girls coming in and they say that, oh, I've got mental health breakdown. As Auntie said, they want to commit suicide, but they don't really want to commit suicide. But when we get boys, we get worried because when boys come in and they say that they want to commit suicide, it probably means that they're going to do it. And that's when we get worried. And that's what I want to understand, that what pushes a boy to the prime of, you know what, I want to die.
Hello.
It's pressure, no pressure.
Hello. I think
Yeah,
Toyin is not here again. Where is she?
I have no idea what happened.
No, okay. Anyway, can I? Okay, she's back. So are you asking me the
Yeah,
question or you need to react to the question?
She will join shortly. Yeah,
okay.
you can continue. She will join shortly.
She will hear about it.
So what's your question?
My question is, I get worried when it's a different thing when a girl says, I want to commit suicide. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. So when girls say, I want to commit suicide, I'm saying we're lenient about it, but we're not as worried as when a boy says, I want to commit suicide. We get extremely worried. Because when boys say, I want to commit suicide, it means they actually meant it.
So are you trying to say that if a girl say I want to commit suicide, we take it serious than a boy?
No, I'm not saying we don't take it serious because obviously it happens and girls
The
eventually
volume is not loud. Maybe something is wrong
when
with the volume.
boys say it, it's a bit more worrying because you don't get as many. And this is what this program is all about, men and men and mental health. You see, the thing is, when men say, I'm going to do this, most of the time, you and I know that boys actually carry out. Unlike girls can have their time. Come on, we have period. We have moments where we feel like, I'm not okay, I want to do this. But boys, when boys decide that I'm done, I want to be done, they actually mean it.
Yeah.
And we get on the word. I'm not lying to you. When a boy comes and we meet a boy that wants to commit suicide, put extra watch on that boy because we know that they mean it.
Yes. Like I
What
did
do you have
explain
to say,
before.
sir? Over
Like I
to
did
you, sir.
explain Like I did explain before, I talk about the type of suicide. The parasuicide is the one that is mostly common in women. They don't actually want to die; they are just acting up. So, and the other one, attempted suicide, is a kind of suicide that failed. But the actual suicide is being carried out by majority of men. Let me just say the men.
Men.
So men meant it when they say they want to die. And before a man will say, I want to die, it means it has gotten to a pinnacle of I can't cope. Because one of the definition of mental health is ability to cope and then to work within your capacity, to be responsible and then to be useful to the community. So in as much that you have passed to the elastic limits where you thought that there is no hope, then the next one is
That's
to die.
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're talking about mental and adolescent like that. I just want to chip in that most of the problem of our adolescents suffering or struggling start from the family. When we look at the issue of socialization, start from home. Family is the first agent of socialization. And if a home is in disarray or is dysfunctional or is dysfunctional, you shouldn't expect a positive result. It's going to be dysfunctional from beginning to the cradle. Another issue of adolescent is what we call conformity. And conformity has three elements: compliance, identification, and internalization. Internalization in the sense that you want to copy other person's behavior, and that is the problem. You want to be like this person. So when you say you want to be like this person and you cannot be like that person, then there will be a problem. So that is why we have larger number of mental adolescents that are suffering from mental illness these days. And I also want to say that World Health Organization classify adolescents between the age of 10 and 19. And we have not seen anything, to be honest. There is what we call age gap. So in the next 10 years now, you will see larger number of individuals that are mad, let me say like that, on the streets, because the world is revolving. Everybody want to, like me now, I did a video call with one of my friends in Nigeria. It was a bishop, go and change to iPhone, and this guy
conformity.
is into painting. So imagine if he did not get that money to buy iPhone now, he might go to steal or to join any people that will just ask, let's do Yahoo, and he will listen to them. What do you expect? And there is consequences for everything. I do tell my younger ones, look before you leap. If somebody tell you, let's go and do Yahoo, know that they will collect something from you. So don't just know they will give you money and then they will not collect anything from you. So if you start barking like dog, so don't come and call me that.
Good dog, Jonathan.
On this note, we are going to call it an evening. Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful session. I've learned loads and I've unwound with my best pals. And mental health is huge. It's not something that we can exhaust in one session. We have to continue talking about it because it is the hot conversation, as I said,
Yeah.
all around the globe.
It is
People
over.
are talking about it. And
It's
here in
wonderful.
the UK, people started taking it more and more and more seriously when
Yeah.
Prince Harry in the royal family spoke about his mental health challenge. And
Yes.
this led to the establishment of so many mental health hubs which people can go and seek support. And I remember that the royal family, Prince Harry and Prince William, did a lot by setting up Mind, MIND, which is
Mm-hmm.
now accessible to so many people today. And I'm hoping that as time goes by, our country, Nigeria, which is the country of our birth, for someone like me and you, they would start to take mental health seriously, more seriously, because I've attended a lot of conversations that people have said that Nigeria still has a long way to go in supporting people with mental health, in
But they
putting
are
structures in
happening.
place
Okay.
which will
Yeah.
assist even to support individuals. So, what I would want to say in closing is that for me, for you, for each one of us in our local community, in our network, in our communities that we belong to, let's continue to talk about the importance of mental well being, the importance of speaking up, the importance of showing kindness, as Prof has said, that we don't know what the other person is going through.
Yeah.
So please be kind to them. Please be kind to them. Please be supportive. It doesn't take or cost anything to say, are you okay?
Are you
It's
okay?
very important that we do that. Once again, I want to thank you, my special
Thank you so
guest,
much.
on
Thank
this
you.
hot conversation of how is your mental health. My
Thank you.
bishop, my prof, wow, you so many titles. My bishop, my friend, my prof,
Thank you
Oluwapelumi-Ayotunde.
so much.
Thank you so much. This will not be the last. We're still going to
Yeah.
invite you when
Yeah.
we have
Looking
other
forward.
topics that we feel that you would be able to do justice to. And for my friend, my colleague in the pediatric sector, my baby sister, Simone Adedupe. Thank you for your wealth of experience. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for exposing how we can help the young people, support them, especially boys, young men in the society to be able to speak up, and structures that we can put in place to help our young adults and our teenagers to overcome mental health challenges. I still remain yours, Toyin Oluwaniyi-Asaaju, the
One and
founder of
only.
KOA Foundation, which places a lot of importance and emphasis on supporting people with mental health. You can see our numbers below. You can see our chat rooms, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our Twitter page, and also our YouTube page. You can pencil us down. You can go to our website, www.koa_foundation.com. You can drop your comments, you can drop your information, you can drop your contact as you always do. We are reachable, we're there for you, and we will support you. And together we would make a resounding success and speak out where it concerns our mental health. Till I come your way next Sunday, I wish you a
Thank you.
successful week. And to
Thank you.
our guest, Have a wonderful evening and have a blessed week. See you sometime next week.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Oh my God. Máa fọwọ́ mi yan lógo. Máa ohun tí mo ní yan bàbá. Èrè yìí ló lè jẹ́ fún mi. Nígbà tí mo bá ti wọnú ilẹ̀ lọ. Erùpẹ̀ ilẹ̀ kò lè yan lógo. Bàbá mi máa fọwọ́ mi yan. Máa fọwọ́ mi yan lógo. Máa ohun tí mo ní o. Máa ohun tí mo ní yan bàbá. Èrè yìí ló lè jẹ́ fún mi. Nígbà tí mo bá ti wọnú ilẹ̀ lọ. Erùpẹ̀ ilẹ̀ kò lè yan lógo. Bàbá mi torí pé ó mú mi wà láyé ó ṣeun o. Ó mú mi wà láyé ó ṣeun o. Ọjọ́ oníṣojú mi ò jẹ́ kíkú pa mí. Àìsàn káìsàn bó ti wù ó jẹ́ kó mú mi lọ. Ó mú mi wà láyé ó ṣeun o. Mo dúpẹ́. Ó mú mi wà láyé ó ṣeun o. Ó ṣeun o. Ó mú mi wà láyé ó ṣeun o. Ọjọ́ oníṣojú ò jẹ́ kíkú pa mí o. Àìsàn káìsàn gbé mi dé o jẹ́ kó mú mi lọ.
We are here on behalf of the Evang-Toyin-Oluwaniyi-Asaaju Foundation to share the COVID-19 palliative to the less privileged and the indigent here at Igbore, Abeokuta. Now, our target for this program is to feed 100 persons.
Nígbà tá a fọn ìpè pé a fẹ́ ìrànlọ́wọ́ ẹ̀sìn títí a dúpẹ́ púpọ̀.
Iléeṣẹ́ yóò di jóná, ìdààmú ìdẹ̀nu wọbẹ̀ mọ́ òní kàn ṣòro. Wọ́n ṣe náwó sí wa, Jésù náà mọ̀ mí sí ọwọ́ mọ̀ tẹ̀síwájú o.
Wọ́n ní òkè lọ́wọ́ afúnni gbé ilé-iṣẹ́ KOA Foundation lọ́wọ́ àtúbọ̀ máa bá fa àwọn lówó sókè. Wọn ò ní ṣe ohunkóhun ṣe, ohunkóhun dẹ̀ ní ṣì wọ́n ṣe.
Iṣẹ́ wọn ò ní dẹ̀kú. Wọ́n kéré oko wá sílé. Wọn ò ní tàjò gbé sáájú.
Ẹ̀yin ọ̀gá ògo, ìfúnfẹ́ tó ti fi hàn.